creates these deep cones of depression into the sediment where now aquatic plants can't grow. Or it changes the water clarity locally because it kicks sediment into there. Aeration and algae, that is used readily in marinas. It's actually, it doesn't get rid of them, but what it does is create just enough turbulence on the surface of the water that it pushes it away. So it kind of keeps it out of the area. Instead of going into a long thing, there's lots of different ways that it could affect algae, which I won't get into. And in some cases it might be an option, in some cases it's not. And it would be a deep conversation to get into it.
Kathy, do you have
There's currently no evidence for aeration and the use of muck pellets. So that's the thing, is that they usually, they're used in tandem where they're inoculating a lake bottom with bacteria and then they put aeration in there to help the decomposition. Well, there's no scientific literature on it. And so actually currently I'm working with Al Steinman at Grand Valley State University to look into that question.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we're looking at tonight is we have to start clearing out in about 20 minutes, and I want to give some of you a chance to talk to them individually. But I want to throw in a question about the demand for fresh water on the planet. We've seen what's happened at Cape Town, South Africa, running out of fresh water, Southern California with the Salton Sea issue and debacle. And we know that humans on the planet are wanting more and more fresh water, and we've got a lot of it parked right around the Great Lakes. And I know Arizona tried to buy it from us in 1982. Do you anticipate, what do you see going on in the future? Is water going to become as pricey as oil is today if it's on a market, an international market? Do you fear for that? Do you want to talk about that at all? How do you look at the future for fresh water in the Great Lakes?
There's a lot of different things happening. I mean, one of the things right now in Ottawa County is an issue. So, and they have the bedrock there and the shallow aquifers and the brine. So they're in severe trouble. And that's our neighbor just to the south of Muskegon County. So they're already looking at problems there. We have a little bit of a different aquifer and geology here in Muskegon County.
I didn't know about Ottawa.
Yeah, and then there's the Great Lakes Compact. There's the and you could probably talk more about that. I think Tanya probably knows more about that than I do, but the way they make decisions on water withdrawals for water going out of the Great Lakes Basin, there are a lot of groups working on that to make sure that those rules that they use are adequate, because it seems like right now, at least based on what I know, the communities that have requested water to go out of the basin, they've had successful requests, even with those rules in place. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know.
I know that's a big question, Eric.
Yeah, that's a big question, and the Pact is, I guess, is functional. I'll say, even though there's been success at it, it takes all the Great Lakes states, and I believe the provinces of Canada that touch the Great Lakes, to all decide to let a withdrawal occur. So that's a wonderful thing that is recent.
Nestle's effectively doing that now. They're pumping water out of the aquifer, and that's water that is being diverted from the Great Lakes.
And that's the debate that's happening right now. As in, like, it's actually happening, I think, at those levels where they're debating if that's okay.
All right, one final question. Tanya.
I think one important point related to the compact is one of the reasons that the states pulled the compact together was to protect them from, Arizona and out west, with the idea that if we are treating our water responsibly and conserving, which we may need to be looking at, then we have a better legal platform for denying them from other states. So that's kind of a concept that underlies the compact, that if we're taking care of it responsibly, we have a larger ability to preserve it. But we are probably likely going to be looking at water conservation down the road.
Yeah. Some of us now are really starting to conserve more.
Well,
All right, who has not had a question tonight?
A follow-up question.
A follow-up?
Never answered my question about.
All right.
See, clerk, remember that question?
So just to bring everybody back on that, is he was asking about, are there treatments that you can do to the cyanobacteria, the harmful algal blooms, in quick actions instead of the long-term reduction of nutrients, or in addition to, is what I would say. So in the Great Lakes, we're not looking at that. That's a improbable thing because you're not going to be putting copper. So copper sulfate is a common herbicide, and Seed Clear uses copper plus some other products that that are in legal. They don't allow us to look at it. But that helps bind up phosphorus. And so, but let's say in White Lake, there's a bloom on the east side of the lake. You could use copper sulfate product to kill the algae, and it will kill it very quickly. But it actually isn't getting rid of it. Algae reproduce incredibly fast, and so what actually happens is that you'll kill those cells. Those cells will burst. That's what the mechanism is happening. And they release their contents into the water. Some of the contents are nutrients, and you'll get an algal bloom occurring within 7 to 14 days after that. Usually, not always. There's depends. I would say. That is it. So it could be used for some I don't want to just poo-poo it entirely. There are some methods for drinking water reservoirs. They'll use it. They'll get rid of it quickly, and they'll continue to use copper to get rid of it quickly when it comes to drinking water reservoirs. Because then exactly, yeah. But for natural lakes, it becomes a little more of a decision tree.
So it's got to be quick, and
Okay,
yes, let's
Once you
conclude.
start to let the other places divert the waters from the Great Lakes, is there legislation in place to safeguard that from reaching a situation where you can't shut it off?
Yeah, I don't know that either.
Could you hear the question? Somebody else might know.
Right. Once you start letting people take our water, and this has been an issue off and on, but once you start diverting our water, say we do have low water, hopefully the water will go down. What's to stop that process when it becomes a danger of losing our water?
How about
I think
final?
every diversion is gonna be a separate decision.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Final comments for the audience tonight. Eric and Kathy, what would you like to say to us as citizens who care about our water and want to do something constructive in our lives? What would you advise us to do?
I think keep our heads up, right? We can get crippled by issues. We talked about Ashley and I talked about issues today, and it can be kind of, you can get beat up a little bit on that, but you can stay positive. There's a lot of things. We talked about the Clean Water Act. Holy cow. Does anyone from the Detroit area grow up in that area? It's been 50 years in 2019 that the river burst into flames. The Rouge River. The Rouge River burst into flames 50 years ago, as of 51 years ago. Rivers aren't bursting into flames anymore in the United States. So we can do something, things can be positive. And so that's what I would leave us with. We can be positive.
All right, and Kathy?
All right, well, I won't be quite so broad in what I'm going to leave you with. I'm going to leave you with, please come to the March 7th workshop, because this is a great place for you to be able to learn how to do some of the things with your own property that we talked about today, and to network with some really great groups and organizations. I mentioned some of them, but Muskegon Conservation District will be there having a display, Ottawa Conservation District. So those are great community partners for us too. So hope to see you there, and if you don't, grab one of these tonight and you want one, just look at, it can be wimserdick.org, which is wmsrdc.org, or the muskegonlake.org website will have these as well.
All right. And before we adjourn, I'd like the Friends of District 8 Committee to raise their hands and be acknowledged here. Are you in the room? Bonnie Slayton, Terry Hempel, Carol Voits, Kimon, Jane Horton, and Kimon. Thank you all for your work on this. It's important, if we're going to have another conversation, to get some ideas from you. So if you have these half sheets and you have a concern or a topic you'd like to address, thank you. You can watch this again on YouTube if you wish at Impact Media 1. Impact Media 1. To our speakers, Eric Elgin, Kathy Evans, and Ashley Elgin. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Appreciate it.